Since 1777, Americans have been lighting up their fires for cooking, shooting up the skies with colorful fireworks to celebrate their so-called independence from other white people across the ocean. Rich white people, that is. But when we peel back the layers to this over-the-top and pretentious patriotism, you'll see that there lies a dark and disgusting truth. We all know what the 4th of July is. I don't think I need to get into a history lesson on that aspect. However, there's between all this, quote, happy time, unquote, that they don't want you to know. They don't teach it in school because if they did, no one would ever celebrate this garbage day ever again. They called it freedom for everyone, even though millions were enslaved. Indigenous people were violently displaced and almost exterminated. And women? Oh, they needed to sit down and shut the up. Their opinions were immediately pissed on. This country was never meant for everyone. White only wanted rich white to have When the slave-owning racist that the right likes to call founding fathers wrote words like justice, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, while in the same breath are depending on slavery, expulsion, and theft. The first Independence Day was declared in 1776, while 500,000 black people were enslaved. Indigenous people were massacred, forced to move thousands of miles away, where 67% of them didn't even make it to their destination. And again, women? Legally and socially invisible. They couldn't vote. They couldn't own property. They had zero voice in their government. Abolitionist and former slave Frederick Douglass said it the best. The 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice. I must mourn. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future. That was said in 1852, and tell me why that still resonates today. Why is the that this man just said still relevant today? That's how far behind in progression and anti-racism this country actually is. People, especially motherfuckers on the right, love to say that systemic racism isn't even a real thing. There is no such thing as systemic racism in the United States. When a quote from 1852 still resonates today, you need to shut the up if you think that. Freedom in the United States does not mean freedom for everyone. Black and brown communities are over-policed and underprotected. Indigenous nations are still fighting for treaty rights and land sovereignty. Immigrants are caged at borders, put in concentration camps in Florida, deported and exploited for labor. LGBTQIA plus people are facing renewed legislation attacks and discriminations. Women and people who get pregnant have lost their rights to their own bodily autonomy in almost half the country. Tell me who is free again? Independence? Freedom? Justice? If those words don't ring universally, then they're not rights. They're just privileges. The 4th of July celebrates a system that has always rationed freedom to the few. But many people on the right say criticizing 4th of July is so unpatriotic. I would vastly disagree with that. I would counter that and say that they're the ones that are actually unpatriotic. They're flaunting around blind patriotism, the kind that ignores history and silences people to speak. That's not love for a country. That's nationalism. And nationalism is dangerous. To be a true patriot means to hold your country accountable for the dark they did. You have to be honest about the origin. We can't just ride in the lane of myths that erase millions of people's sufferings. We can't do that. Look, I'm not saying don't hang out with your family or friends, don't take the day off. I'm not saying that. Do all that. If that makes you happy, do it. I just think that the meaning of that day needs to be shifted. It needs to be drastically changed. Use this day to reflect on the actual real history of this country. Support movements and entities that fight for equality and actual justice. Donate to indigenous groups, Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Asian groups. Honestly, Juneteenth should be the new Independence Day, because it actually represents and celebrates real independence. We can honor the idea of freedom without pretending it ever existed in the United States fully. Not in 1776, and not today. But maybe one day it will, if we fight for it.
Hey, is it worth it?
Oh yeah, it's worth it. If you're strong enough.
So having said all of that, no, I will not be celebrating the 4th of July. Honestly, if you want a quick fact about me, I have never celebrated the 4th of July. Like, actually celebrated that shit. Never. How can I celebrate a country that has a foundation that was built on stolen land, forced unpaid labor, and major exclusions for most of the population here? Why would I celebrate that? If freedom is gonna mean anything, it has to belong to everyone. And until that day arrives, this holiday is nothing but grilled hot dogs and fireworks covering up a deep, dark lie. Freedom isn't a date. It's a demand. No freedom until we're all free. But if you need more of my series, The Ghost Effect, check out my next video right here. And if you can, my friends, please support the channel on Patreon. I will leave those links right here and in the description below. I really hope to see you there. Come join my private Discord where we have private lives and much more. I really hope to see you there. Don't forget to subscribe for more leftism, and I am out.